as you informed before, we started a IMU development project named Learning Station Design for Maritime Education and Training. Today, this meeting will be for introduction about the project. So our team, Istanbul Technical University Center of Excellence, and other participants are here. I am passing the floor Professor Emrah Acar for introducing our project to you. Thank you for all your participation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emrah Acar. I'm the director of ITU Learning Center, Center for Excellence in Education. And we are happy to be with you in this project with colleagues from maritime engineering sector. Indeed, we have been experimenting with some innovative teaching and learning models in different industries and at different levels. So learning station has been model has been used in different fields, including corporate universities, undergraduate level, graduate level, and plus we also use that model to build communities of co-learning in different fields, including cultural heritage conservation and others. Additionally, it is the innovative teaching and learning model of ELISA European University at the moment, and we will be designing the innovative teaching and learning approach of European universities. We have partners from, in addition to ITU, we have partners from 9 different countries, and we will work together to change the, let's say, the learning landscape of many higher education institutions at European level. So in that sense, we are also very happy to introduce this model to you today, and basically it is a 3-step training. After today's general introduction, I think on Monday we will continue with some hands-on exercises, and after a 1-week break, as far as I remember, we will have the last session to give feedback for your, let's say, learning experience designs. I mean, that's the plan with a bird's eye view. I want to share. I think we have a Miro board, right? We have a Miro board so that we will get feedback from the participants of the training. We will keep it open until the end of the training. So that means it will be a channel through which we will be providing feedback to the participants of the training in the next few weeks. Hale will share the link. I just want to start with some general remarks. I mean, the way we teach and learn has been changing in line with the evolution of the building production production systems. I'm an architect, sorry for that, so I refer to building production systems, but basically I'm talking about the evolution of the production systems, the spaces, the environments we exchange knowledge and experience has been changing. So at the beginning it was more something like that, as you see on the left. But over time, with the introduction of mass production systems, I mean, those are the places for mass education systems. Indeed, these are a kind of mass injection places. We inject knowledge and experience to the minds of, let's say, young people. So with the introduction of digital technologies, especially after the mid 70s, I mean, we can talk about a new era, digitalization of many tools and techniques in the learning environment. And there is an apparent shift from, let's say, places of injection to places of experience. And this is where different discussions on, for example, active learning emerged in the literature, and the places we exchanged ideas have changed or evolved accordingly. So there are a couple of questions that we try to address in the higher education system at different levels. These are the questions for ITU Learning Center as well. One of them is, how can we create a higher education system with a holistic approach to recognize multiple forms of learning in life? This is one of the important concerns for ELISA European University as well, because learning happens through different channels, not just in traditional classrooms. This is why today we try to recognize multiple forms of learning. For example, micro-credentials discussion is part of this trend. So we are trying to recognize different challenges so that a holistic approach can be adapted within our system. The other thing is, how can we open our conservative institutions so that we can more effectively collaborate with internal and external stakeholders? That's important because for each learning topic or experience, we have different stakeholders from both inside and outside the university, but the system is not designed to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and experience with stakeholders. So it is not specifically designed for co-creative processes. That's one of the challenges of the higher education system today. So we are developing some tools to overcome this obstacle, let's say. And the other thing is the way we produce and share knowledge and experience with our stakeholders. It is not appropriate for co-creation. This is why we want to change the playground of learning. We want to redesign the playground of learning. We want to do that with some modular approach so that various pedagogical tools and techniques can work together in a consistent way, especially to meet the needs of young generations. So we are trying to design a kind of chess-like, modular playground so that different pieces from different stakeholders can be brought together in a meaningful way in terms of designing learning experiences. And of course, digital transformation is part of this agenda, especially after the pandemic. I mean, many tools and techniques were introduced to the higher education market, and many of them were quickly adopted by, let's say, both learners and teachers. And it seems that some of them will be permanent in the following decades. So how can we recognize, or how can we, let's say, adopt these tools more efficiently in our, let's say, learning experience designs, including AI and many other tools? Let's say, how can we incorporate them in a meaningful and efficient way to our learning experience design? And of course, lifelong learning is part of this discussion, because there is not, because from our perspective, this is also relating the stakeholder management issue. So we want to sustain our relationship with our students after their graduation, because only after graduation they are decision makers, they have resources, okay, and they have, for example, they are business owners, they are entrepreneurs, they gain experience in life according to their career life cycle. So why not engage with these people and co-design learning experiences with a lifelong learning mindset? Why not collaborate with these people, both as learners and, let's say, learning experience designers over their, let's say, life cycle? So just a couple of questions, but I can say that these are some fundamental questions which are being addressed by higher education institutions around the world, including Istanbul Technical University and our partners. So this is a graphic, let's say, which is showing the main building blocks of our approach. We are trying to crowdsource for co-creation. That means we are trying to achieve an efficient collaboration with our stakeholders, both internal and external. We are trying to design open processes, both as a process and as an end result, because we are trying to design a university without walls, so that we can work with different stakeholders efficiently. And for all these to, let's say, happen smoothly, we want to change the way we produce and exchange knowledge and information in the higher education landscape. And we want to do that by rearranging the playground in a modular way. That's the general, let's say, summary of ITU Learning Center's approach. Perhaps before going into the details of learning station model, I can shortly explain our approach on the digital side, first of all, because for crowdsourcing, we need to access the profile of people, which shows, or the areas, let's say, which correspond to their skills, interests, knowledge, resources, or experience that they want to exchange with other members of the ecosystem. So if we can't see those, let's say, skills, interests, knowledge, and so on, we cannot co-create with people. So these stakeholders include academics, students, administrative staff, the members of alumni network, plus the friends of ITU. We call them friends of ITU. Basically, they are citizens. And this is also relating our policy of open science and citizen science. So if anyone around the world, let's say, is interested in something, if they want to improve their skills relating, let's say, AI, and if we have designed a learning experiences on AI in technical university or elsewhere, why can't that person access, let's say, this experience and benefit from, let's say, knowledge and experience? So why not open these learning experience design to public? So this is also very much related to our open science and citizen science policy. Anyway, at the end of the day, we are trying to develop a kind of global, let's say, mapping of talents around the world. We do that by, I can show you the overall structure of that digital platform. We have members of the ecosystems, as you see. We have their profile information. We are able to attach different roles for these people, like they can be learning experience designers, they can be learners, mentors, project managers, researchers, sponsors, employers, internship providers, ambassadors, and so on. We can add many other roles. And we have the keywords. Okay, we have the keywords of many types. I can show a few examples from our database. As you see, distance learning, strategic planning, robotics, history of science, anything from art history, okay, computational design. You can add anything, because once you have access to the profile of members within the ecosystem, you can easily attach or they can select different keywords which correspond to their, let's say, skills or different hats as teachers, learners, mentors, etc. So this is the general, our general approach for crowdsourcing, because we want to co-create learning experiences with these people. The coding process is ongoing. I can share some screenshots from the ongoing process. As you see, we are able to access the profiles of these people from around the world. We will also have access to their live location. That means we can easily access these people, invite them to, let's say, co-design different learning experiences together. And this is the digital side. Perhaps I can, this is in Turkish, but just to explain the concept, I can illustrate how we plan to use this system in practice. I'm an expert, let's say, on project management. I type project management on the platform. This is not the final interface, but as you see, we are able to access different people from different countries. We can also see their roles, their hats, They can be mentors, teachers, learners, let's say, researchers, whatever related to that specific keyword. In this case, project management. For example, someone from Malta wants to be a peer mentor, and so on. People can exchange or add keywords at any time. Okay, if a new keyword is added to this list, it automatically, added. The admin can see those dashboards, and we have a panel at the management panel at the background. Okay, if I want to design a learning experience on, let's say, project management with my stakeholders, I just filter them. Okay, let's say, choose project management. Let's say there is a training on project management. It can be anything. Let me select something from, let's say, ITU Learning Center's website. I say, okay, guys, I know that you are interested in project management. This is why you might be interested in this learning opportunity. Okay, and I select those people, and the system automatically sends an email to the person, to the selected group or clusters. I'm sorry, I will translate. Dear name, surname. We have a place on our platform. You are receiving this email message because project management is amongst your keywords. You can click on this link and you can access this learning opportunity. So that's the general concept, let's say, at global level. So this is why I can say that the crowdsourcing part is very important in terms of addressing many of these contemporary challenges in terms of co-creating with stakeholders in our, let's say, conservative institutions. Okay, this is without these digital tools, we cannot open the system. We cannot work with these stakeholders that efficiently. So that's the first part. I mean, the digital part. There are a couple of ways to use this potential. I mean, once you map these people, basically there are two ways to benefit from this huge potential. One of them is we make a distinction between volume business and value business in ITU Learning Center. Volume business means, like my previous example, I mean, you have a global, let's say, mapping of talents, okay? And then, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the set, and you just select the people that match with specific learning opportunities because we have access their profile information. We know that they want to take role as a mentor, as a teacher, as a learner, as a researcher, whatever. We have access to this information, and then we are able to filter and send messages to that specific subgroups of people within the ecosystem. This is an example for volume business. It's about matchmaking, meaningful matchmaking, let's say, for different learning opportunities. But when it comes to value business, we need some specific, let's say, models. I mean, that's in terms of using this potential in a, let's say, in a really, let's say, meaningful way. Sending messages to subgroups is not adequate. This is why, to co-create with people, with stakeholders, we needed some new and innovative models. This is why we started to work on the learning station model, which is basically about promoting active learning pedagogies of different types in educational settings. I guess you are all familiar with many of the active learning, let's say, concepts, techniques, tools, etc. But I just want to show this part. Basically, it aims to link real-life experiences to learning practices. It delegates the responsibility of learning to learners. It's based on exploration, inquiry, reflection, and it is self-motivated. This is self-motivated because we know that people learn better when they are self motivated. So it is quite different from being, let's say, passive recipient of knowledge. I mean, it does not isolate learning from life. People take the responsibility of learning, and they are not externally motivated. And if you are an active learner, that means you are not externally motivated. Otherwise, it's not really sustainable and, let's say, efficient. So there are many ways or many channels or tools, techniques for active learning. Some of them are, let's say, relatively more sophisticated ones, like project-based learning, problem-based learning, case-based learning, and so on. Some others are relatively more, let's say, easy to apply in terms of engaging with students, collaborating with them in the classroom by using some very, let's say, engaging strategies and so on. But in the main, all of them are based on the assumption that the learner will take the responsibility of learning as required by adult learning, let's say, principles. And here, perhaps I can continue with, but before that, I will just stop the presentation, and I just want to ask if you have any questions or not. I can answer questions, stop for a few minutes before going into the details of learning station model. So there are a couple of, let's say, higher level, let's say, questions that we address. This is those questions are relating the existential part of the thing. In the main, we try to use crowdsourcing for co-creation. I mean, that's the general approach. And when it comes to co-creation, we argue we need new innovative models so that we can change the way we exchange knowledge and experience with each other within the educational settings. In this case, let's say higher education institutions. But I just want to say that, I mean, we are using this model not just in higher education institutions. We also work with teachers at, for example, high school teachers. We are working with, let's say, different communities of, let's say, learning, communities of practice, etc. Digital tools are important because without such digital tools, we cannot access people, we cannot work together, we cannot co-create so easily. That part is also very critical. So, okay, let me continue with the learning station models. But I will answer your questions. Perhaps, Semra Hocam, I can show the toolkit, perhaps. I mean, that can be more, what do we mean by learning station model? We will share this toolkit before the second session of the training. So that's what we mean by learning station model. Okay, that's how we use it in real life. Okay, we have for any learning experience, right? We have learning materials, learning content, and sub-content. It can be related to anything. They are related to a specific learning outcome, because if there is learning, typically it should be related to a learning outcome, predefined learning outcomes, and of course learning objectives, this is how we do it in right, for example, when we design a course or something like that. At the end of the day, we have the learning content, we have the learning outcome, and on top of this table, okay, we have different delivery modes. These are the channels, let's say, channels that we deliver a content to the target audience. That target audience can be students, academics, our partners from the industry, and so on. Sometimes, on the other hand, they also correspond to different, let's say, learning styles of people, because sometimes we prefer to read when we learn. Sometimes we invite, let's say, guest speakers we watch videos. We, for example, focus on case examples. We have hands-on practices. We visit, for example, labs or experiments. We use some software. Sometimes we have sponsors and so on. There are many different types of, let's say, channels that can be used when designing and delivering learning experiences. I will show some other examples. I mean, we have many, let's say, alternatives actually here. And this is one of the modules of a learning station, which has a specific outcome, and it's of course related to some other, let's say, learning objective. That's what we mean by a module in our, let's say, language. And that's how we design the learning landscape with modules. The thing is, different modules of a learning experience or learning station may come from different stakeholders. I mean, that's important. This is why we design the playground in a modular way. For example, one of the modules may come from an industrial partner, for example, a member of an alumni network. Another module may come from a student, another one from a teacher, another one from, for example, another expert. So I can say that there are many different ways to use this tool. If you are using in the formal education system, for example, think about the courses. I mean, sometimes it can be a group work. A group of students might be designing this, let's say, learning station. I will show some examples. Or a teacher, a professor, for example, may design the whole thing according to this model. But ideally, in our case, as the learning center, or when we apply it at undergraduate level, we try to delegate the authority of learning to learners, let's say. That's our general strategy, because in that way, it will become active learning. Otherwise, I mean, if a teacher designs the whole thing, by definition, it's not active learning. This is why our students at different levels design these learning experiences with the mentorship of, let's say, teachers, with the mentorship of professors. So they are not instructors, they are not teachers in that sense, they are mentors. So mentorship skills really matter in that case, so that we try to, let's say, use the creative potential of students in this way. Because when we provide space for learners, for students, they are likely to select materials that fits better with their, let's say, learning styles. They select, for example, if they enjoy reading, learning by reading, they are more likely to select, let's say, readings. If they enjoy, for example, let's say, case learning by focusing on cases, they are more likely to, for example, select different interesting case examples and so on. In practice, students design these modules. That can be individual work or group work, it doesn't matter. And the professor gives feedback. The teacher gives feedback to the designs of students, let's say. The whole thing can take a couple of weeks of the semester. It can take the whole semester. So it depends on the priorities of the teacher and the, let's say, expected outcomes from the course, or the, let's say, the structure of the course. So it is totally flexible. Sometimes it may take the shape of, let's say, a term project, right? It can be parallel to the, let's say, formal, let's say, effort of the teacher. That means while professor is delivering the content, the student might be working on this as a project, term project, and for example, at the end of the semester, they may organize a few, let's say, brainstorming session to exchange experience on their designs, etc. So there is not one single correct way to use this thing. The idea is, okay, if there is learning, there should be learning outcomes, there are learning materials, and there are many different ways that people prefer to learn. That's the idea. That's, I mean, it is quite simple, nothing more let's say, complicated than this. Of course, we select learning outcomes according to the well-established, let's say, tools and models of education, let's say science. For example, the Bloom taxonomy. We define learning outcomes sometimes at remembering level. We expect students to recall some information from their long-term memory. That means it will be a remembering level, let's say, module. Sometimes we expect learners to understand things. We sometimes expect learners to apply the concepts. We expect them to demonstrate, dramatize, interpret, solve, blah, blah. So that means the learning experience is at applying level. We especially encourage learners or learning experience designers to reach applying level in different modules. Why? Because this refers to learning by doing. And we know that people learn better when apply concepts that can be relating coding, okay, math, that can be related to architecture. It doesn't matter. If you apply concepts, that means you learn better. And of course, at the top of the pyramid, we have the creating. It's like designing a new thing, right? Formulating, constructing new ideas and so on. Like, for example, entrepreneurship projects, developing a business canvas for an entrepreneurial initiative and the like. So from remembering to creating, people select different, let's say, levels for different learning outcomes of their learning station. Okay, so but as I said, in principle, we especially place emphasis on hands-on practices because this is learning by doing, this is applying level. I mean, we try to embed hands-on exercises in each module depending on the learning outcome. Of course, it's not necessary, it's not a must because some modules may not, I mean, hands-on practices may not be relevant to all, let's say, modules. But in principle, because of the Bloom taxonomy, okay, because of this pyramid, we encourage people to reach the applying level, at least. I mean, that is usually the minimum level in many of the learning stations, because, okay, this is the general structure. Okay, we have the learning. Each module is related to different learning objectives, predefined learning objectives. Of course, it is related to a learning outcome. We have the learning content, the content delivery modes, and of course, ideally, we try to clarify the assessment and evaluation tools in each module. Why? Because in future, our strategic target is to combine modules from different learning experience designer from the industry, from different departments in, let's say, in the university. Okay, some of the modules may come from, let's say, NGOs, another one from an expert from the industry. So that means if we want these modules to be portable, if their assessment and evaluation instruments should be embedded in the modules. I mean, this is necessary for portability of the modules. We are trying to design a very flexible system. Okay, I'm not talking about, sorry. Okay, so I will just show some examples for the content delivery modes. Can you see that? I mean, we have lots of alternatives here. We have readings, surveys, interviews, discussions, presentations, teamwork, podcasts. For example, there are very, very nice podcasts relating to anything. I mean, so our students actually select these podcasts and they embed them into their learning station design as let's say, different delivery modes, videos, movies, case studies, music, sound is part of it, lab work, animation, simulation, different artificial intelligence tool, role-playing, storytelling, and so on. As you see, there are many, many different ways or delivery modes that we can use, right? Here on top of this model, I mean, and actually in practice, our students select these modules according to their, let's say, learning styles. I can show, we will also have a checklist for the design. We will share these with the participants of the training, right, on Monday. This is a design checklist. We have designed this according to project life cycle, because by definition, the first design of learning station is a project, and it has some phases. I mean, like initiation and planning, implementation and closure. So we have a couple of questions for each stage. So that's also that can be helpful when designing the learning station. And now, to make things a little bit more concrete, I can share a few examples. This is a group work. It's about designing truss beam systems. As you see, we have the learning outcomes for each module. We have the learning materials, and the designers, which are undergraduate students in this case, select some learning materials. I'm just...
Efficient structural forms, able to span including circular and cold-formed profile.
Okay, something like that. As you see, students select different delivery modes to design this learning experience on steel truss systems. It has how many? 3 modules. And I think that was also based on learning by doing. In this case, part of the station was including theoretical knowledge, the principles of, let's say, bridge design. But at the end of the semester, they designed a kind of hackathon or something like that, a contest, so that the most durable structure survived based on the principles of, let's say, bridge design. So this is actually learning by doing, and that was designed by students. But so that part actually documents the process throughout the semester. I mean, it shows how students work together throughout the semester, the readings, videos, the learning materials, and at the end of the semester, they designed, okay, a contest, let's say, for their work. This is another one example about low carbon concrete. We have the learning outcomes, we have the learning materials, and on top there are many different learning, let's say, content delivery modes. This is another example. They even designed the assessment evaluation elements of the modules. That was done by students. It was also a group work. This is a kind of, okay, they designed a kind of ideathon. In this case, they even designed a web page for their learning experience. But as you see, it follows a similar logic. In this case, there are 5 modules relating to that, let's say, content. We have the learning material and the delivery modes. I can show a few more. This one is from graduate level. In this case, scientific research ethics. It's an individual work. The student, as you see, we have the learning outcome. The student selected many different learning materials according to her learning style and preferences throughout the semester. I can, for example, you can embed anything like simulation, gamification, etc. In this case, because it was about ethics, for example, the student used an application on ethics, which an app which was designed, a dilemma game. It gives you some ethical dilemma and you make choices. But that was part of the learning experience design of the student. I mean, because they have this flexibility. So normally it may take a lot of time for the teacher to explore all these, let's say, channels or tools. But when you provide space for students, then delegate the authority for experience design, okay, they research, they select, they find these, let's say, different learning materials and use them in their learning experience designs. I mean, that's very important. And as you see, hands-on practices or learning by doing level is very important. We also encourage students to especially embed, practical hands-on let's say, some exercises. This one is from a statistics course that's from PhD level. I think it's an individual work. Yes, it was designed by a student. In this case, as you see, there are many alternative, let's say, delivery modes like reading, courses, podcasts. Okay, this guy, let's click on this. I don't remember this one. The student, okay, you can select something from Spotify. Where is that? How blah blah AI2. Okay, so the student selects where is my, okay, just a second. Yeah, I click on this. So the student, in short, select that a podcast relating research design, blah blah, because normally we don't have time to go over all those podcasts and materials, etc. But when students have the flexibility to use that space, okay, they are very much, because it's self-motivating. I mean, they are not externally motivated. They are self-motivated to learn according to their strengths. So these delivery modes indeed correspond to their strengths, their let's say, preferred learning styles. The same in this case, because it's relating statistics. As you see, there are different data sets here, probably for testing some, let's say, statistical tests, like assumptions of what's that? I don't remember. That was about, I think, analysis of variance or regression analysis, whatever. The student found many data sets from the internet and embedded those, let's say, tools or the data sets to the learning station design. This is a summary of, let's say, different alternative delivery modes and the references, etc. I think these examples are okay. This is an application from an external partner. In this case, this is I can provide the website link. I can share the website link. This is a group of people, a group of society in the cultural heritage field, community of co-learning in the cultural heritage field, something like that. So, as you see, the overall idea is quite simple. I'm looking for just a second. I'll show. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking for the table. Anyway, I can share this one. Lastly, we are about to share this guide shortly, right? As soon as possible, let's say. Okay, we are about to finalize this thing with the contribution of reviewers from around the world, and so the idea is quite simple. I mean, that's the summary of the whole thing. But this is very flexible. It can take the shape of any learning experience, because at the end of the day, we need learning materials for any learning experience. They should be relating a specific learning outcome. And we know that people learn in many different ways, and which are content delivery modes according to their preferred learning styles. That's the summary of whole thing. And we support this model with digital tools for the purpose of crowdsourcing. And so I can say that the overall summary of ITU Learning Center's approach is crowdsourcing for co-creation. I mean, I think that's the summary, Hocam. Yes.
Modules maybe come from the different stations, or maybe they can create it as a new one.
Okay, so I'm just checking the chat box about how do you face privacy policy. One question is, I mean, you treat a lot of data related. That's a great question. We are working on that, Paula, because that's, I mean, the question is about how do you manage this? Thanks. That's a very good question. Now, Of course, we have the consent form from the people. That's one thing, but that's not adequate. For example, now we are working with, ELISA, for example, European University. It has 10 partners from different European, let's say, different geographies. So we will work on that. That's one of the challenges in terms of data protection, privacy. I mean, the servers, I mean, where will we keep servers, etc. So we are working on that. But normally, at ITU level, we are working with legal experts. Of course, we need consent from people. But it's like LinkedIn. I can say that the digital side, digital part, is a combination of LinkedIn and Coursera. It's like LinkedIn because people will be also able to sign up with their LinkedIn account. We get everything that they give to LinkedIn. This is why, but many of us have LinkedIn accounts. That means these problems can be addressed and solved like LinkedIn did. We will do the same with our European partners and at local level. And secondly, the other part I mentioned of the platform is like Coursera, because at the end of the day, we need to store different learning experiences in the form of modules. So in that sense, it's like Coursera, and these modules will be designed by different people. Sometimes they are students, academics, externals, and they should be approved by admins, which means they take the responsibility of, let's say, they take the responsibility from a legal point of view. So this is a kind of governance model, and we are working on that. But that's a very good question. That's one of the challenges. We are working on that at local level, and we will work at European level, because the ELISA European University received funding from the rollout phase. So it started in 1 November. I mean, just 2 months ago, let's say, and it will last 4 years. I mean, the project will be finalized at the end of 4th year, at the end of 27. So we have time to address and solve all these problems, let's say. But that's a very good question.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I was thinking about LinkedIn. I joined this with the platform you are showing us. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn solved this problem in a way.
Yeah.
So we will solve it as well. But we need to work with many people. You are right. I mean, that's a very challenging issue because we will be gathering the information from thousands of people from around the world, like the members of the alumni network. We need this information because thanks to pandemic, I mean, we have lots of lessons learned. For example, for some of the modules, we can just send a Zoom link and invite people from, let's say, Arctic region, for example, to give a lecture on something. That's, I mean, from about poles, etc. That's very easy. All we need is just a Zoom link. But before that, we need to have full access to the profile of these people, of course, with their consent from the legal point of view. And that's very important, but that's very important and necessary for co-creation. This is why the kind of global talent management system. And that's relatively cheap. It's not like investing in one person in academia, in investing in thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. It's not, because knowledge is everywhere. A person cannot design a whole learning experience on, let's say, artificial intelligence. But if that person is familiar with a specific AI tool, let's say, we can easily invite that person to design a module, not a course on artificial intelligence, but they can easily, for example, share their experience relating a specific AI tool, because that person is already using that tool, let's say, in her or his daily life. That may be part of her professional, let's say, experience. So why not design something for others in the module? This is why we place that much emphasis on crowdsourcing and co-creation. We want to change the way we share, we produce and share knowledge in higher education system. And that's our ambition, ELISA European University as well. But we are ready to share, exchange all experience with colleagues from around the world. So please, you can, contact us anytime after this training. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I think it's a great challenge.
Paula, challenge is converting passive to active learning, says Mohan. Passive, yeah, but this is about power, basically. Active learning is more about power dynamics. That's our understanding, because teachers are very much used to teaching, but they are not that used to mentorship. That's a huge challenge. This is why both in ELISA and in ITU, we plan to support this model with mentorship programs. How to do mentorship for learners. That's another challenge, because the teachers are used to teaching. They have little experience about mentorship. They are not that ready to share the space with students. They are not that ready to delegate authority for students, because that's how how they were educated in the past. It's not an easy shift. So this is why mentorship is a critical task. If we want to change that learning landscape, we need to place more emphasis on mentorship. And in ITU as well, we are trying to convince a professor that providing space, giving flexibility for students is not a threat for them. And this is why I say this is more about power balance in higher education. We are trying to convince professors that, okay, if you share the space with students, if you will learn a lot from students. I mean, that's the message we try to give them, okay? And that actually happens otherwise, because it's about time management. I mean, typically a professor, a teacher doesn't have time to review that much material, learning material in a semester, if we are talking about formal education system. I mean, you don't have time to do that, but you have time to give feedback for students, and you have time to co-learn. You have time to learn together. We are trying to explain this to our, let's say, professors in the university, but this is a challenge. I'm looking for questions, Hale. Get this. Which questions, Hale? I'm looking. Our colleagues are interested if this part receive materials after prayer. Of course, yeah, we can share these materials. We have some recordings from ELISA and from other platforms. We can send an email after. I think we have the contact information of all. Okay. Yeah, okay. As I said, this is a 3-step training. This is the general introduction. On Monday, we will introduce, focus on the learning station thing, that modular thing. And we will actually design some experiences together. Probably we will have some groups, right, on Monday. People can work, the participants can work individually as well. No problem with that, because this thing works both at individual level or group level. It doesn't matter for us. And we can select some case examples. And then we will keep on talking on this and keep on answering your questions on Monday. Then probably we will have some groups and we will give them some time, which is a week in this case, right? So, and after a week, we will go over your learning station designs together, which means different groups will be able to give feedback to each other. Of course, we will also give feedback based on our past experience. So that's the plan. This is just an introduction. Okay, on Monday, we will focus on learning station, and 1 week later, okay, it will be a feedback session. Feedback to different learning station designs. Thank you, Mohan. Okay, that it will be more interesting if we can design some learning stations together. So it doesn't have to be perfect, because we know that, I mean, by experience, this is a, this is a long process. I mean, normally we spend, when we use it in the formal education system, we spend a semester with students. I mean, so this is 3 weeks is just, it's just a brainstorming for all participants. I mean, we will just brainstorm together. But you can, the good thing is this is very flexible. This is really very flexible. It can take the form of anything, yeah, be it a formal course, in terms of time as well. I mean, it can take just a couple of weeks of the semester. It can take the whole semester. It's totally up to your needs as teachers. But the critical thing is sharing power with learners. I mean, that's key to the success of the model. Are you ready to share power with students, with learners? That's the critical thing, because digital tools can be developed in any way. I mean, when you pay money, when we find the budget for these tools, I mean, there are always people who codes such platforms. I have no problem with that. But that mindset shift part is very critical. It's about sharing power with learners. It's about democratization of the higher education system. That's a real shift. This is why the mentorship part is very important. Not teaching. We need a shift from teaching to mentorship so that we can provide space for talents. People can benefit from their talents when designing learning experience. And at technical level, that's a challenge for ELISA European University as well. This is also relating the flexibility we need at global level in terms of recognizing multiple forms of learning. This is very much relating to, for example, micro-credentials. We are now about to give micro-credentials for these modules in Istanbul Technical University. People, right? People will get microcredits from these, for example, modules. That's Mohan? Mohan?
Yes. Yes, so, sorry, I have to mute my camera because I have some issues with the camera. So please. Yeah. So basically, the challenge, with the seafaring students, the challenge is to motivate them. That is how to get them into the active mode. That has been a great challenge. And of course, you explained various ways which we can do that, but that becomes a real challenge. So do you think one way could be asking the students to design an exam paper? They can design an exam paper rather than we giving them a examination paper. How could be? Do you think that could be one way of engaging them more in the unit?
Mohan, I can say that it is totally up to your needs. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's about exchanging knowledge and experience with people. I mean, they can, in my view, I mean, we need to focus on that specific case, but I can say that technically, if what we exchange is knowledge and experience, there is no barrier to using the learning station model. I can ensure that because we tested this in many different environments, but of course, it's the context matters. I mean, for example, my colleagues are using in different settings. For example, Professor Semra she is mathematician. I mean, using learning station model in the mathematics field is different from using it in, for example, management engineering. Another colleague used it for example, teaching MATLAB for graduate students. So this context is different. I mean, depending, but some let's say some features are common, like for example, let's say it depends. So it depends on your expectations, but I can ensure that this thing can take the shape of anything you need. I mean, because it's about exchanging knowledge and experience. If what you exchange is knowledge or experience, no problem. So the timetable, the content, the types of materials, delivery modes, etc., will depend on your needs, your expectations from that course, for example. Okay, so why not? They can design their own exams. Actually, in practice, for example, I selected some exam questions from students let's say, students' modules, because they develop their own exam questions, because the challenge was designing learning experiences for other students, right? Because, okay, you learn better when you design learning experiences for others, and they did that. And the modules also included assessment elements. And I used some of them in the formal examination, for example. I mean, that was one of the shapes, let's say.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. We need to work together. I mean, on a specific case. So you can contact us anytime and we can work together. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are there any?
No.
So no questions. So what's the plan, Hocam?
Okay.
Pelin Hocam,
Yeah.
you are the plan.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Emrah Hocam, for this information or informative session. I want to express my gratitude to ITU Center of Excellence of Education. Today, I also inform my thanks to all participants. The aim of our project, International Association Maritime University project, is to integrate active learning to maritime education and training. Our partner is in this project, Batumi State Maritime Academy. We are working together in this project. For Mohan, Professor Mohan, I can also say that the maritime education and training structure is little bit different from the other higher education course structures, because we should also obey the rules of International Maritime Organization model courses while doing our vocational courses. So I think it is the importance of this project comes from this point, because in this project, together with these sessions, we will discuss how we can integrate this active learning to maritime education and training with our limitations. So I think this is important, and we will all the maritime educators here will decide or will discuss how we can integrate this learning station approach and active learning approach to maritime education and training. So I think this will help us, for all of us, to look at our courses and our learning outcomes with this approach. Yes, Professor Mohan.
Yeah, Dr. Pelin, at the Australian Maritime College, we offer a degree in marine engineering. So basically, this is a 3-year degree program. And of course, we incorporate all the IMO requirement, but then we offer a degree. So actually, we are a part of the higher education. Higher education in as far as this marine engineering is concerned. Marine engineering as well as maritime navigation, we are offering a 3-year degree program. So we are part of the higher ed. Yeah.
Yes, we are also part of higher education. We are taking our diplomas as maritime management engineering and marine engineering, but we should also obey the rules of International Maritime Organization model courses while giving our courses. So this is our limitations or some challenges that we should overcome. So this approach or these sessions will help us in this issue, I think. So for our project, while these sessions are going on, some surveys and questionnaire will be conducted by us at the point of the integration into maritime education and training to this learning station. So we will send some questionnaires and surveys. If you can fill them, we will be very happy to give effective results of this project. and project. And I will also note that, however, our email containing the link of this session was not received by some of our participants. I could not understand the reason, because some of our participants here got the link, but some of them not. Also, we think that there may be new registration for the second session. Thus, I want to take your permission to publish this record of this session to our